The following is an Outdoor Channel original production.
This week on Wardens, a conservation officer in District 4 focusing on salmon anglers questions a waterfowl hunter.
So I just want you to leave the action closed and then load the magazine for me.
Third grade students from West Michigan get some lessons on salmon and sea lampreys.
How long were the walleye though?
How long do they have to be there?
Yeah, you tell me.
And officers in D2 patrol anglers on the ice. Wild animals and wild places. They're more than a picture. They're inspiration, excitement, and adventure. Patrolling and protecting these natural resources is a first-class band of peace officers. These are the Wardens, dedicated to the preservation of our great outdoors. January in Michigan's Upper Peninsula means it's ice fishing season for many of the area's outdoor enthusiasts. In Escanaba, in the state's District 2.
Alrighty, well, good luck. You have a good one.
Conservation officers Bobby Watson and Chris Lynch are checking on ice anglers. Most of them are targeting fish from their ice shanties.
Perfect. You getting closer to a dinner?
Closer, yeah.
Check your license real quick.
Here, it's on my phone.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, nothing else in the shack, no other fish. All right, cool. Appreciate it. You have a good day. How you doing?
Good.
Catch any fish the rest of the day yesterday?
No, you know what? You jinxed us.
I did.
We didn't catch nothing after you left.
That's not my fault.
We're just bad fishermen.
Yeah.
A fisherman that C.O. Watson encounters wonders if it's okay to cook his fish in the fishing shack immediately after he catches them.
You mean like cook them up and eat them right out here? Yeah, a couple issues come up when that happens because you know, the whole mutilated fish and all that. You can't have clean fish basically on the ice. If you're frying them up, and we can tell that you're cooking fish and stuff like that. And it's one thing if it's like a short walleye, if it's perch, you know, it's easy to.
I've been asking around and
Yeah, it's easy to tell if we see a pile of perch on the ice that they're clean perch and not clean walleye, short walleye or something like that.
so you would,
Yeah, I'd be hesitant to do that with a walleye,
Right.
just because how do we know? Unless it's like a monster walleye or something.
Okay.
But even then, you know, technically you're not supposed to have the mutilated fish on the ice.
Oh.
But I mean, there's campers and stuff out here, and it happens all the time.
That's
So
what made me think of it.
yeah. So it happens for sure. We just kind
nice
of
to do someday, but
we just kind of deal with it case by case basis, you know. So, But all right, well, you have a good one. Good luck.
yeah, thank you.
In Michigan, each angler is allowed to have 3 lines in the water. Officer Lynch encounters a fisherman who has too many lines out and asks C.O. Watson to give him a hand on checking the lines that are still under the ice.
You want to pull these up just to confirm the bait and
Yep.
get some pictures?
Yep. Which one of these lines are you gonna pull up?
Probably this one.
Probably this one. So I'll leave this up for you.
Okay,
Let me get a picture of that real quick though.
sure.
In this case, for having too many lines in the water, this fisherman pled guilty and paid a court-ordered fine of $175.
Fish too many lines, just the equipment used. So what you'll do is contact this number, okay, tomorrow, within 10 days. Tomorrow would be the earliest. I'll turn it in tomorrow morning. Monday afternoon, they'll be ready for you, but just make sure you do it within 10 days. You can go there. Most guys just call just because it's more convenient. You can mail it in.
That was a pretty clean cut one right there. My partner Chris Lynch, he just came up to a contact, guy fishing off the back end of his truck. He had 2 tip-ups out with 2 jigging poles, 1 in each hand. So a total of 4 lines, and you're only allowed 3 in the state of Michigan. So pretty clean cut. The guy he hadn't read the rule book, wasn't aware of the rules. That's a pretty basic rule too. Most people that come out and fish are aware of that, you know. It states right in the rule book that 3 lines is the max allowed. So Pretty easy one to handle. Guy was very cooperative, so just pretty routine ticket.
Officer Rebecca Hoover starts her workday by patrolling salmon anglers on the Betsy River in Michigan's District 4. She could easily spend her entire shift here because so many fish are still coming to the river to spawn. But it's early October, and that means the archery deer season is a few days along, and waterfowl season has just started in this part of the state. So early in her shift, CO Hoovers receives a call to head to another county for something completely unrelated to salmon.
It states that they're hunting with unplugged shotguns. Now, he didn't see them, but he can just tell by the number of shots that they've been firing.
This caller said, hey, there's a group of what I think might be 4 guys on the river. I heard 21 shots in 1 volley. Obviously the complainant is an avid duck hunter. He says, and a person can only have 3 rounds in their shotgun when they're waterfowl hunting. So unless there's actually like 7 guys, there's probably someone with some unplugged guns. That's what the complaint is there's just a lot of shooting going on at one time.
Officer Hoovers hasn't yet found the waterfowl hunting group that she received a complaint for, but she does spot a boat that appears to belong to duck hunters.
Can I take a look at your stuff while we're here? You guys are going back to Grass Lake, is that where you started? All right. Since you're driving back by, let's take a look at your stuff, okay? Is your gun unloaded right now?
Yes.
Okay, do me a favor. Aim it away from me. Use the shots. Hi, Molly. Use the rounds that you would normally use. Yep, close the action. Oops, knew she was gonna do that, right? So I just want you to leave the action closed and then load the magazine for me with the rounds that you would normally be using.
Stop.
Oops. All right, you see what's going on right there? You have 3 in the magazine. Can you put another one in the magazine?
No. It won't. It's got that little plug.
Okay, but if you had 1 in the chamber, you could still have 3 in the magazine, so you can carry more than 3.
Oh.
See where I'm going with that? Go ahead and unload them for me. Ma'am, do you have your shotgun with you, or are you not hunting today?
I don't shoot a
Okay.
gun.
Waterfowling guns must be plugged to hold no more than 3 shells. This hunter's gun had room for 3 shells in the magazine. Since a 4th round would fit in the chamber, this man's shotgun is not properly plugged.
If you were running 3.5s, it would be plugged. Because you're running 3s, and I always make you use your own, for that reason, because everybody runs something different. You're not plugged. Do you understand why I say that? Because you can get 3 in the magazine, and then you could have a 4th in the chamber, so you're unplugged. So we got to work on the plug. So you are getting a ticket for having an unplugged gun. Otherwise, if everything else is fine, then everything else is fine, okay? So if you just hold still in the rain, cover up whatever you don't want to get wet, give me a couple minutes, I'll be right with you, okay?
It takes about 5 hours to drive from where Officer Hoovers is patrolling in Michigan's Lower Peninsula to where CO Bobby Watson is in the state's Upper Peninsula.
I'll dump them out real quick.
Officer Watson is checking on ice fishing anglers.
You catch any walleye or no?
Over on, I don't know what, over on the other reef over there, we caught some short ones.
Okay.
12 inches,
Yeah.
but no keepers.
Yeah. Hey, DNR, how you doing? How's it going today?
Not very good.
No? Pretty slow?
I was taking a nap.
Oh, I woke you up?
Oh,
Oh, jeez.
taking a good nap.
Were you laying down?
Oh yeah, I lay right down here.
That's good. Yeah, it's a gorgeous fish.
Yeah, he was hoping to get a 30-incher, you know, because
Yeah.
he doesn't have a 30-incher yet.
Okay. Yeah, take a look at the fish.
Yeah, go ahead. Anything else you want to look at, let me know.
Alrighty.
We caught some other fish a couple days before.
Okay.
They're clean though.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it's a beautiful one. And we had some perch.
Okay. Where the perch at?
They're clean.
Oh, you cleaned them up already?
Yeah.
Okay.
For our trip.
Yep. Okay.
About 4 walleye.
Where the carcass is at?
This fisherman has cleaned his fish already, As a result, it's extremely difficult, if not impossible, for Officer Watson to ascertain if the walleye were long enough to keep.
Yeah, can you pull them out for me? These are all the perch?
Yeah, there's a 29-inch northern that I did chunk up just because we were ready to leave, but we're not violators.
Okay. Oh, that's a good one. Do you have any pictures of them or anything?
I do, definitely. There's the 29.
Okay.
And there's our catch.
The other ones? Can I see this?
Yep.
How long were those ones?
11-inch the perch were all small.
Okay. How long were the walleye though?
How long do they have to be there?
Yeah, you tell me.
Well,
sea lamprey are like cold-blooded killers.
The Michigan DNR aims to get as many people as possible involved and interested in the outdoors. One way in which they try to get young people involved is through the Salmon in the Classroom program. It's a very interactive, participatory program in which students raise salmon and ultimately are responsible for their survival and release.
The Salmon in the Classroom program is not a stocking program, it's an education program. Our goal is to help create stewards of the environment and help kids and their teachers understand our natural resources and what they can do to be a part of the big picture for the future and, you know, for their kids' future.
Now, have you ever seen a fish with a Band-Aid? No! They don't have Band-Aids down there.
Melissa Jackham is a third-grade teacher at Knapp Charter Academy in Grand Rapids. As a part of the Salmon in the Classroom program, Ms. Jackham welcomed a guest into her class who is an expert on sea lampreys.
Ms. Jackham is going to be one of our Sea Lamprey in Michigan Education, or SLIME program teachers. It's a new program that the Great Lakes Fishery Commission is running in cooperation with the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. We're partnering with the Salmon in the Classroom teachers. At the end of the year, once those teachers have released their salmon, they would oftentimes have an empty tank for the last few weeks of the school year. And so we're now giving live sea lamprey to keep in those same tanks once they've released their salmon.
The recreational fishing industry of the Great Lakes is worth over $7 billion. Without two invasive species, alewives and sea lamprey, anglers may not be able to enjoy the same fishing opportunities for salmon in the Great Lakes that are currently available.
So the ultimate reason that we now have salmon in the Great Lakes is that sea lamprey invaded the Great Lakes, which happened many decades ago when sea lamprey first invaded the Great Lakes. They absolutely devastated populations of lake trout, which at the time supported very valuable fisheries. Those lake trout were not just supporting valuable fisheries, though. They were also providing a number of valuable ecosystem services. Along with those sea lamprey, another fish from the Atlantic Ocean were invading, and that's the alewife. The alewife were being consumed, were being eaten by the lake trout while we still had lake trout in the Great Lakes. But once sea lamprey devastated lake trout populations, the alewife just exploded in numbers. They were greatly out of control, greatly abundant, and causing lots of problems. They would die off in droves in foul beaches. Nobody would want to spend their Saturday afternoon swimming or playing on a beach with 1,000 rotting alewife carcasses. And so ultimately the Michigan DNR, Howard Tanner and others decided to stock salmon into the Great Lakes, salmon from the Pacific Ocean, in order to provide a valuable recreational fishery as well as to control alewife populations. And that was a very successful idea. Had sea lamprey not invaded the Great Lakes, we might not have salmon in the Great Lakes, and we likely would not have the salmon in the classroom here in Grand Rapids.
I talked to my kids the next day after we had the lesson, and I asked them, you know, what did they say to their parents? And I even had some parents respond back to me emailing, like they couldn't believe they touched this lamprey and it wasn't as gross as they thought, and it felt really neat. And I feel like to them it was getting over that barrier of being afraid, or this thing with this crazy mouth was not gonna, you know, bite them and stuff. And I feel like they were very excited by it, to the fact that they were going home and telling these stories to their parents.
The kids just love seeing sea lamprey. The reactions of pretty much everybody, any age, from a young child to an adult, everyone has an immediate response to sea lamprey. Some think sea lamprey are pretty cool looking. Most people are rather terrified or horrified of the sea lamprey. Some people won't even come within 10 feet of the sea lamprey in the tank. But for the most part with kids react to sea lamprey with a lot of enthusiasm. There's a lot of excitement. Most of the kids actually do want to touch or handle the live sea lamprey. we find it's oftentimes the adults that don't want to touch the sea lamprey.
After raising salmon for the majority of their school year, the culmination of the program is when the students who have been watching them for several months get to release them into a body of water near their school. For Miss Jacob's class, that means into the Grand River near downtown Grand Rapids.
Okay, there he goes. You gotta jump fast. Jump fast, otherwise he gets caught in the... There he goes.
Yep, and then the back corner, there you go. There he is.
I think that this is a really cool idea that schools are doing about the getting salmon eggs and then releasing them, because that's helping out the population. I think that's really cool.
My brother here really likes to fish, and it's really fun to see just fish. I really like to go to the salmon ladder. It's amazing, and that I've learned that they have a lot of stages of their adulthood, and that when they're juvenile, they get spots. It's just a really amazing creature that God had created.
The look on the kids' faces is always the same. They're very excited. They've done this. This is their project, and this is the successful culmination of that project, and they get to release those little fish into the waterway. I gotta put a little bit of water in.
Officer Becky Hubers has encountered a waterfowl hunter whose gun isn't correctly plugged for the shells he's using.
He's getting a citation for having an unplugged gun. That doesn't make him a bad man. I think he just didn't pay attention to the proportions when he decided to take his brand new Benelli out today. And we're not taking the gun away, I'm just documenting some information on it. And same with his shells.
He has base, woodcock, short-tailed grouse. He has a waterfowl application, but no license.
Although this hunter has a lot of licenses and permits, he does not have a valid waterfowl hunting license.
In this stack right here, there is no waterfowl license. You bought the stamp, you took the survey, you bought the base, but I don't see the $12 waterfowl license, so you're missing a Michigan waterfowl license. I'm giving you a warning for that part. I mean, okay, so you got to run out and get yourself the Michigan waterfowl license. Okay. It got missed. I know that you meant to buy it because you have a big old pack, but it didn't get, they didn't charge you for it. So yeah, that's an extra $12 somewhere that didn't come up. You got all the surveys, okay? So pretty much probably call it a day, get your stuff squared away, and then maybe start again tomorrow.
And you don't have any of the carcasses in here or anything like that?
Nope, like I said, we got rid of those.
Okay.
Michigan Conservation Officer Bobby Watson has encountered some fishermen who filleted their fish while they were still on the ice. Officers Chris Lynch and Rob Freeborn arrive on their snowmobiles to assist CO Watson.
So they're just getting ready to leave. They're just packing up fish until noon because that's when their license dies. And they have all their fish cleaned already. They have one nice walleye sitting on water right now, but then they have bags of fish meat. And there's 3 walleye in the bags that I could find that they'd be close, you know?
Yeah.
Their carcasses were picked up by their guide already. And they have a couple pictures, but you really can't tell. It's kind of the angle. You don't have a good view on the length. When I asked him what the length was, he kind of balked. He didn't even really, he asked me how long they have to be. So, you know, clearly he didn't know that they were 15 inches.
Where are they from?
Wisconsin, I believe, yeah.
Good mutilated fish.
Mutilated fish, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
It's hard to say. I mean, if you can tell they're huge,
That's the thing.
If they're smaller.
Come take a look at them, see what you guys think. Unless those are big perch, which they could be. You don't know. See, the problem, we can't tell what is what, and we can't measure your fish, obviously. And that, it's kind of the issue. These aren't, they're just cleaned out, you know, they're not frozen or smoked or anything like that.
I didn't think we were doing anything wrong.
No, I understand, you know, being in a camper and stuff, it kind of makes things a little bit cloudy, but you can see from my perspective.
I totally understand.
You know, did you catch these today? Are they 13, 14, 15? You know, we don't know.
You're not going to tell me that
it's that much bigger.
Inches.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you they're both short.
whether it's
hard
4
to
inches
prove.
or
So in
not.
this situation, mutilated fish
Because
is
we clean the
completely
fish,
fine.
obviously we can't.
They don't know
fish
what the
it.
size of it is.
No, that's the thing. We don't know the
Meaning they
size.
never measured it.
Yeah.
In this case, for possessing illegally mutilated fish, this fisherman pled guilty and paid a court-ordered fine of $240.
Thanks, guys. I'm
All right.
sorry.
All right.
I won't clean fish anymore.
Like I said, just a lesson learned. You know, it makes it very difficult for us to
No, yeah,
determine
I
if
totally
it's...
understand, but I'm trying to teach my son right. So.
No, I understand. I understand. I appreciate you cooperating with
Sorry.
us. So basically, in the state of Michigan, you're not allowed to possess mutilated fish on the ice or in the water or anything. Essentially, you have to wait until you get back to your house or until you're going to process that fish to clean it. And what we ran into with that guy is he's on the ice, he's in a camper, and he cleaned all of his fish. And then the guide came and picked up the carcasses. Well, without the carcasses, we have no idea of knowing even remotely how long that fish was. He did have some pictures. The smaller walleye were lying next to the perch, and they would have been really close. They might have been sublegal, they might have been legal, but it's impossible to tell.
When fall arrives in Michigan, conservation officers have a lot of different things they can look into. While deer hunting is generally most popular, many outdoorsmen and women enjoy hunting elk, bear, waterfowl, and small game, among other pursuits. In Michigan's District 1, CO Anna View started her shift by checking on some blind she'd seen earlier in the year that are likely set up for deer or bear hunting. With no one utilizing the blinds during her checks, she returned to her patrol truck
Howdy. How you doing? Good, how are you? Good.
and encountered an upland bird hunter.
Hey, you bird hunting?
Yeah, I got one.
You got one?
Yeah,
Nice.
you want to see it?
Sure. We haven't seen too many people today. What's the pup's name?
That's Seed or Sophie.
Sophie. Hi, Sophie.
I had two of
Nice.
them and I just gave one up. My wife and I want to travel more. There's the gun.
Okay. Mind if I open it up?
Yep.
Nice gun.
Yeah. When I could finally afford a nice one, I bought it.
Right.
After raising kids.
Perfect.
There you go.
So are you seeing many birds this year?
Yeah, yeah. And my uncle and I, we hunt a lot. You know, we got spots in Menominee County, we're down in Dickinson County. We go to a different spot every day.
Good for you.
Now that we're both retired. He's been retired for 20 years. Yeah, birds are up. We've missed a lot, you know.
Yeah, part of the game, right?
A short time later, CO View runs into another upland bird hunter.
We got one.
Okay.
One little woodcock.
Oh, nice. Hi, beautifuls. Oh, hi. They're cute.
Aren't they nice dogs? And then we got one little Woody to show for our efforts today.
Oh,
but,
nice.
But it's more of a
It's such a beautiful day, right?
ride the roads day, yeah. So you need to check license or anything
Sure,
like
while
that?
we're here, might as well.
Now, we'll see if I can get on the phone okay?
Yep, that's perfect.
Okay.
Is there a documents or files or?
Well, if I have my deer license, I have to have my base.
Right.
Oh, I found it!
Yay, where was it?
It was in books.
Books?
Yeah.
Wouldn't expect that.
Michigan Department of Natural Resources. There we go.
Perfect.
No, I just got to remember it's in books.
Write it down somewhere. Books.
Tattoo it on my hand.
All right, well, it was nice talking to you guys,
Yeah, nice
and
talking
good luck.
to you as well. Thank you.
It's more common for them to have their licenses like on their phones, especially fishermen. Or they'll they'll buy them electronically and print them off, and then put them like in a plastic bag. So that way they don't have to worry about dropping their phone in the water. It kind of helps if somebody, didn't buy their license, we can, if we're nice enough to give them a warning, we can make them buy it right in front of us, if they have cell phone service, of course.
A 7.5-hour drive south of where Officer View is patrolling, CO Todd Thorne has already had a busy day by 10 a.m. on the opening day of archery deer season in Michigan's District 8. He started his day by checking out some tree stands where he'd found illegal bait prior to the season. Probably because of the pre-dawn rain, no one was hunting from those stands. Then C.O. Thorne got called to an elementary school where he helped remove a pair of deer that had crashed through a window in the middle of the night.
We just had a couple deer jump through a window at the Central Elementary School in Okemos, and they were stuck in a bathroom, so we just got them out of there.
Now he's on his way to the Ingham County Jail to transport a subject who missed a court date for a citation that Officer Thorne had written.
We'll take him over to the Eaton County Jail, which is where the violation occurred. So this guy got picked up somewhere in the Lansing area, and whoever picked him up wouldn't have the time or jurisdiction to run him all the way to Eaton County. So that's what we're gonna do. They'll just call us and see when we can come and get them, and they'll usually hold them for a day or two until we have time to pick them up. All right, so you're gonna sit in the front seat here, and then I'm gonna scoot your seat up as far as I can so that you can have room. That good?
Michigan Conservation Officer Anna View is keeping her eyes peeled for upland bird hunters. She has a couple of grouse decoys, and she wants to see if any hunters attempt to shoot her decoys from their vehicles. Such a practice would be a violation.
We try to prevent them from actually shooting the decoys, because we want the decoys to last. We just want to catch the people that are willing to use a loaded gun in their vehicle without getting out and doing it the proper way. You looked in the complete wrong direction. No orange in that truck. It's not saying you're not a hunter, but I didn't even look. No look from that one either.
A few months before Officer View put her decoys to work, a group of biologists from around the country gathered together in northern Lower Michigan.
We're here in Roscommon, Michigan, and we're having a Woodcock Wingbee, which is a lot of biologists from different states all get together, and we age and sex all the woodcock wings that are sent in by a sample of hunters.
Michigan's very excited to be able to host the Woodcock Wingbee in our state. Michigan is one of the top production states for woodcock in the country. We're #1 in the world for American woodcock harvest, and there are more woodcock banded in Michigan than anywhere else in the country. So woodcock are important to Michigan.
You really have the public, the hunters mostly, helping us out here by turning in these wings. You know, they're under no obligation to do that. We survey them, we send them survey forms and envelopes and ask them to send in their wings.
It's been very successful. It's been ongoing since 1963. And so we've got a wealth of data, and we very much appreciate all of the hunters' help.
Each Wingbee attendee may have a slightly different order on how they determine information from the woodcock feathers they study, but they are all seeking the same information.
So we'll pull out the wings. I usually go through, I'll look at the primaries first to see whether it's a male or a female. So we're looking for narrow primaries for a male, little fatter primaries for a female. Then I look at the secondary feathers to look for the patterns of either a juvenile bird or it's an adult bird, which is 2 years old or older. And then, I'll look at those and I'll just decide whether it's an adult female, a juvenile female, adult male, or juvenile male, and record that.
From that information, we can get ratios of females to young birds. So that gives us an index of reproduction. So that tells us how these birds are doing long term. So are we getting more young per female, fewer young per female, year after year? And that gives us information on population level trends.
It's critical when you think about people coming together to collect the data and information, if you will, in the same fashion. That makes it comparable amongst areas. Because if you let individuals do it differently in a vacuum, you're going to end up with different pieces of information that may not be comparable. It may be much harder to make a decision.
The Wingbee is hosted by a different state each year.
The way that it's determined on where to have this Wingbee every year is really based on the biologists that attend. So we have biologists that come, from across the country, basically, East Texas and eastward and northward. And we get together and we basically just talk about it, who would like to host the Wingbee this year. And what we try to do is one year we try to have it in a northern state, and then the next year a more southern state. For example, last year Louisiana hosted it.
Since woodcock are migratory birds, both the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the state DNRs are involved in setting the annual harvest regulations to make sure woodcock are not over-harvested.
When hunters participate like they do and send in wings, they feel a stake in the outcome. We are always trying to strive to meet our hunters' needs and wants. It doesn't always happen. We have to make a biological decision also based on the best science. But that's definitely a component that goes into structuring how we set regulations, is trying to meet what the hunters want and need.
After we do all the wings, the Fish and Wildlife Service Bird Banding Lab will send out a letter to every hunter that sent in wings, and they'll tell them the age and sex of all the birds they shot. So we do give this, so there is feedback on all the birds that you shoot and stuff. You send them to us, we'll age and sex them, and then we'll send you a report that tells you, what birds you shot, how many were males, how many were females, how many young, how many old, and that kind of stuff.
Most of the biologists that attend the Wingbee also enjoy hunting woodcock, and several have for many, many years.
They're really unique in that their brains are in backwards. They have long bills that they stick into the ground. They eat worms, so when they have their bill in the ground, they have large ears. Their eyes are large, kind of stuck more in the back of their head, so they can almost see 360 degrees around. And they're just one of those unusual species that are, something you dream about.
Woodcock are really hard to hit, so they're in these forested areas, lots of trees. When they fly, it's not just a nice little slow fly. They'll go up and then they'll zigzag like crazy. So they quickly put themselves between you and a tree. So that a lot of trees get shot that way. But they're a lot of fun to hunt.
Anytime I'm coming to a woodcock Wingbee, I'm in a rental car facility or I'm on the plane and they're like, oh, what are you doing? Where are you flying? And whenever I bring up what this is and what I'm doing, they just are so intrigued and interested in what we have to say. And so that's a good sign. And I think majority of the population has no idea what this is and how unique it really is.
People used to think that when a woodcock left a place like Michigan or a place like England, they flew to the moon because no one knew where else they went to. So woodcock are just a really, really unique bird.
Michigan Conservation Officer Todd Thorne is transferring a subject from a jail in one county to an adjacent county's jail. There is a warrant out for him that stemmed from a case in which C.O. Thorne had issued a citation to this man.
So I remember this now.
Though the details of this particular case were a little hazy to Officer Thorne, when he was first made aware of this warrant pickup, the story comes back to him after briefly chatting with the subject.
In Diamondale area is the Windsor State Game Area. It's by the state police and our academy. And there's it's called the Davis Pond. It's part of the game area, and a lot of people like to fish and hunt back there. And we used to have a lot of problems with people driving their vehicles back in there. You can't because it's state land. And it's a 2-track, but it gets pretty muddy. And I remember getting a call. This was quite a while ago. This was years, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I got a call that there was some vehicles stuck on this 2-track. And so I remember going back there, and there was 2 large pickup trucks, I think. They were both stuck, and they had created some huge ruts, and we couldn't get them out. And ended up having to call a bulldozer. And the bulldozer had to come get them and pull them out, and I believe the bill was like $1,000 maybe, something like that. because there was no other way to get these guys out, and there's still ruts there today from that back then. So it sounds like there was some court appearances scheduled that were not attended.
Hopefully see the judge today so I can get back to work, so I don't lose my job.
All right, sir, you ready?
I suppose.
Might as well get it over with, huh?
Yeah.
You been here before? Okay.
In this case, the subject pled guilty to a DNR land use violation. He was fined $910 and paid $300 towards his fine. He is in default on the remaining $610 that he owes. CO Anna View has been on the lookout for upland bird hunters after she strategically placed her grouse decoys along a road.
I used to have a lot of stuffed animals as a kid, and now I feel like this is the adult version of playing with stuffed animals. It's decoys. Flying by.
During this operation, she did not encounter any hunters who spotted her decoys and mistook them for real birds. When she's back in her patrol vehicle, Officer View checks her voicemail and has a request to look into a bear case.
The guy had some bear hunters running a bear by dogs, ended up running down the road, ended up shooting it in front of his cabin.
After a short drive, CO View arrives at the camp that was close to where the bear was shot.
So this is where they dragged it out to their truck?
Yeah, they just, right here you can see there's little boot marks and everything going right in there.
Oh, I bet this smells great to you, doesn't it? Dead bear.
In Michigan, no person may hunt with a firearm within 450 feet of an occupied building without written permission from the owner, renter, or occupant of the property.
How do you feel about it? Do you want him to be prosecuted for violation of safety zone?
Originally what I told him, I said, why don't you guys do me a favor, why don't you guys call in, because I got no cell reception up here.
Right.
You guys call in, and I said, and I better get a call back. And I don't know what I heard. It sounded like, yeah, right. When he walked away, I thought, oh, the hell with it, then I'm gonna call. You know, but he said, yeah, I'll call. I don't think they were gonna call.
Well, funny story is that, so I get the voicemail from our dispatch, the DNR dispatch who you called, about, you know, your complaint. He did, he called in, he's like, I have nothing to hide, you know, this is what we did wrong, and so he was good enough to do that, and my previous dealings with him are that seems to be a decent enough guy.
Yeah.
Laws were definitely broken, you know, especially I would like to get some official measurement of this with my rangefinder.
Michigan Conservation Officer Anna View is working a bear case where the owner of a camp witnessed a hunter shoot a bear. The camp owner has told CO View that the bear was shot within 450 feet of his camp, which is a violation of Michigan's safety zone law.
I don't care. I've never done this before. I've never called in and turned anybody in, but like I said, I'm sick of it because it's the other guy didn't seem very apologetic.
The one that shot the bear?
Yeah. He says, well, we were shooting in the safe direction. Well, yeah, so I can stand in your front yard and...
Yeah, exactly.
You know, no big deal. But, well, we got caught up in the moment. You know, I guess you did.
I'll catch up with them, talk to them about it, and if you want, I'll give you an update.
Yeah, I'm not looking at causing hard problems here. That's how camps get burned down. And I don't want that to happen. You know, I don't want to... But I just... Really? Come on, are you serious?
Okay.
You know, this is enough. So.
Exactly.
When she checked with her rangefinder, Officer View measured the distance at
54 yards.
Almost 300 feet closer than is permitted under the law.
Definitely not out of the safety zone.
When she's done talking to the camp owner, she hops back into her patrol truck and heads out to make contact with the hunter who shot the bear.
And the only reason why we did what we did, like I said, was because first of all, the dogs was in jeopardy.
Okay.
And the bear, like I said, pretty much had enough.
Mhm.
And it was, to me, I felt it was in a safe direction.
Right,
Instead of
yeah.
shooting into the swamp.
It was nice to hear it from both sides, you know, saying, okay, we know we screwed up there and with how close we were to the camp.
Right.
So that it makes my job a hell of a lot easier.
And the other thing is too, is there's so many cabins up here that there's nobody there.
Yep.
You know,
You never know.
And you just never know.
Yep.
And when this all went down, it happened minutes.
Yep.
I mean, everything was happening so
and your
quick.
adrenaline's up because you're like,
we
got the
we're
bear
already
finally.
there. Yeah, we're already running this thing for 9 miles, and it's
Mhm.
kind of like
That's
we
a
got
long
to
time.
get an end on this thing.
That's for the safety zone. What I'm planning on doing is writing a report because it did happen. I know it occurred and measured, all this stuff. Submit it to the prosecutor. If she does authorize on them, we'll just call you. It's just a misdemeanor. Likely, you can take care of it over the phone.
Okay.
Unless if you want to fight it, which that's up to you. If you want to do that, that would require some trips up here. Which oh darn, you're in the UP, But it should be a pretty simple process if she decides to go through with it.
In this case, this hunter pled guilty to the charge of shooting a bear within the safety zone and paid a court-ordered fine of $237. February can be cold in Michigan. Many residents frequently choose to spend a lot of their time inside to avoid the chill. On the other hand, many people look forward to enjoying the outdoors during the winter season. A couple of ways that people take advantage of these conditions are by riding snowmobiles and ice fishing. In Michigan's District 6, Sergeant Tony Sovey and Officer Chad Forster are leading a briefing for officers working a group patrol on the Saginaw Bay.
This is all open water as of a couple days ago, so don't go out here. It's glazed over and it's snowing now, so you won't see it.
We all know what we're out here doing. Number one is resource protection. We're looking for short fish. We're looking for over limits. Snowmobile and ORV violations, helmets, registrations. Everybody out here by now should have their machines registered. If not, you might want to educate them.
Keep an eye out for something that looks strange. That ice is going to get you. It put me 12 feet through the air the other day. You'll see it, and it'll get you bad. You're going to have guys all fishing all the way up there. There's probably going to be 300 to 400 shanties out in that area right there.
Shortly after getting out on the ice, C.O. Forster pulls over a driver of an ORV that sped past him and other conservation officers moments earlier.
How you doing?
Good.
Good. What was that all about?
I thought you were just someone screwing with me, cutting me off. So.
No, when you went by all the people standing on the ice there. You scared the living bejesus out of me when you went by me about that far when I was sitting in the machine and my partner's on the ice writing or talking to people.
Sorry about that, officer.
Sorry about that. How fast were you going?
I believe it said 48.
You're going 48 miles an hour within 3 feet of me when you went by me. And you thought I was trying to cut you off?
That's what it looked like, but...
Okay. Got a driver's license I can see?
Yeah.
You're going to get a citation today for that. Okay? You have to respect other people standing on here for safety. There was a young kid on that snowmobile. If that kid would have darted out in front of you, would you have had enough time to stop? Probably, yeah. No, sir, I agree with you. Yeah. You would not. So, I mean, you were probably that far from me when you went by. You agree with that?
I agree.
Okay. I'm going to give your partner behind you a verbal warning because he was within 100 feet too. Screw with him. Yeah. All right, I'll call him over here. Hey, sir, come here.
So is it points at
Nope, no, I'll explain it to you here in a minute. There's that back.
Never had one of these.
Yeah, unfortunately. I've given your partner a citation for violating the 100-foot rule. Okay, do you know about that? Have you heard anything about that?
No.
All right, you're in violation of it also.
Okay.
You have to be within 100 feet, stay outside of 100 feet of any persons, ice shanty, or anything like that on the ice. Okay?
Like each other? Like
Well, when you guys are riding, you can do whatever you want.
Okay.
If there's another machine, it's not. It's somebody that's standing on the ice, okay? Granted, he went real close to me, but my partners were standing on the ice within probably 30 feet of him when he went by us, and you went by us at that high rate of speed.
Right.
All right, so right now I'm writing him a citation for it, and you're going to get a verbal warning for it today. So you guys might want to just talk about that, okay?
Okay.
He wants me to write you a ticket, he said.
Sure you did. No, I'm sorry about that. I didn't have no.
Yeah, well, you've been educated today. Just be careful. It's for, like I was explaining to him. If there was a kid on one of those snowmobiles, just a little guy, okay? If he would have darted out, would you have had enough time to stop? Probably not. I'd say exactly no, you would not have.
In this case, for exceeding the minimum ORV speed that is required to maintain forward control of the ORV while driving within 100 feet of another person, this man pled responsible and paid a court-ordered fine of $120.
But just be smart about it, guys, all right? It's for the safety of everybody out here, up to and including you guys, okay? All right, take care, guys.
Michigan's firearm deer season is typically when the state has the most hunters in the woods. In 2019, more than 1 million deer tags were sold. It's the fourth day of the state's 16-day firearm season, and in District 3, Conservation Officer Dwayne Boudreau starts his shift a little before noon.
We all take this season serious. You know, it's like a month-long holiday that everybody comes up and everybody's taken to the woods, and like I said, we just want to make sure that everybody's playing by the same set of rules and we're keeping everybody safe. So we're busy in checking deer, and deer in Michigan, I mean, that's our bread and butter. That's where the natural resources, the Fish and Game Fund, that's where a lot of our funding comes from, is from our deer. And so it's a big resource for us to protect, and it's important. So that's why I think it's critical, deer season, that everybody's out here playing by the same set of rules.
It doesn't take long for C.O. Boudreau to spot a hunter who's walking along the shoulder of the road towards her blind.
How's your season been so far this year?
Crappy.
Well, opening day was a little cold, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it sure was. Not many people sat past 9.
Oh, I went out the whole day.
Did you really?
I sat the whole day.
Oh, good for you. Really? I thought they were moving pretty well opener because of the cold. I saw a lot of deer on the foot, but yeah, not where you were at. I would take a look at it, yes. Yep. You got a doe tag, good for you.
Yeah, but I don't like taking a doe unless I have it.
Yeah. Later season calls for desperate measures, right?
Yes. Gotta get some meat in the freezer.
Yep. Okay. You're all set.
Okay.
Good for you. Very good.
Okay.
Enjoy your hunt. Yeah, you're very welcome. There you go.
He also visits with another hunter as he checks some of the local spots throughout his county.
How are you today?
Good, how are you?
Good. Is this your monster?
I didn't get one yet.
Oh,
no.
you didn't?
No.
He said, man, was it a big one? I said, yeah. Well, he taught him patience.
I'm just out here having a good time.
That's what it's about, man. Come out here with your son and have a good time, teach him proper deer hunting methods. I just wanted to stop and see what you guys had hanging.
In the early afternoon, Officer Boudreau is informed of a possible trespassing case.
He has now found someone trespassing on his property. Sounds like they did a deer drive, possibly through his land. He found evidence that they had shot a deer. He found bloody drag marks where they removed the deer from his property. He claims that he knows who it is. We're gonna head up there now, meet with him, take a look at the kill site, confirm that it was in fact taken on his land. Not that it's totally relevant whether it was actually shot on his property or just dragged through it. The only difference being is if it was shot on his land, that would constitute it being an illegal animal, and we would end up seizing the deer if we come across it. These guys are not just cheating all sportsmen, they're stealing from another property owner.
C.O. Boudreau's first stop is to check with the landowner, who believes that someone trespassed on his property.
And is it on state land or public land? The funny thing is if it's on state land, making it somewhat legal, why didn't they drag it out to state land?
Right.
I mean, to come through my place, it's just nobody
Yeah.
likes that I bought this.
Right.
But anyway, I can't, I don't understand how this is okay. And with the recreational trespass laws and everything else, I want to push. And if the one
Yep.
gentleman doesn't want to give up the rest of his group, then he can get the wrath.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay.
I'm on board with that.
The landowner says that he was out of town hunting in another state and got word of trespassers on his property just before he returned home. Officer Boudreau follows him onto his property so that he can investigate the scene and look for evidence of trespassing.
This deer could easily have been a situation where they walked in, but we're so far from that one. This isn't accidental.
Yeah, no.
No, we're not.
No. No, that goes without question. And your property's so well posted that
it's almost
they're not getting in here without noticing a sign. Darn near bumping into one, so.
They locate blood and the gut pile.
He's corn fed. I just wonder if they're doing their push from that north side all the way through.
Officer Boudreau recovers a tissue sample from the deer in case he needs to run a DNA test as a part of this case.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Have a good day.
Today we're working code name Winter Blitz. It's a large-scale group patrol. What we're doing today is working resource protection, taking over limits, double tripping, guys going out and catching a limit in the morning, coming back out in the afternoon, catching another limit, taking short fish, registration violations, snowmobiles, ORVs, make sure they're registered, and then, of course, the safety aspect of it, make sure they're not riding double, they're wearing their helmets, not driving carelessly, things like that.
Sergeant Tony Sovey is one of about a dozen Michigan conservation officers working a group patrol on the Saginaw Bay in February.
Oh, all right. How many did you catch?
I don't know.
You don't know? More than you're supposed to?
No.
Ah, all right, good. Good answer.
Hi, buddy.
All right.
How you doing?
Nice
Beautiful
fish.
out here. Nice, nice.
Oh, it's fishing.
It
was slow. Lots of marks. Lots of little males. Just nothing real aggressive today?
Oh, not really.
Greg, you got a nice female.
I got a nice female, like a 3-pounder.
Did you catch that? Did you? Knuckles. Yeah. Oh, good one. Double? Oh.
That is my son.
Oh, high five double. Yes. Good job.
Hey, watch everybody out here. Make sure everybody's safe. And everybody's careful out here. And they're the ones that come and help us if we get in trouble. Oh!
Always remember, don't lay your tape measure on the fish.
No, I never do.
Okay, good. It'll give you an extra inch or so.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
No, you put it right on the ice.
Gotcha.
Right. So in this case, I would go right from the edge here.
Oh, okay.
Lay that right on the edge. Pinch the tail. And you're 13 and a quarter.
That's a short
Quarter
one.
inch to spare. Yeah.
Close.
The other ones are big.
Little guy.
Yep. Good eater though.
My son got him. Yeah.
Good. Oh, you gotta keep this fish. That's a good eater.
We love it out here. Winter Wonderland. Love this place. Lots of fun. Like bringing that little guy out here. This is his first year. Tyler, say hi.
I was gonna meet you guys.
They're about halfway through their patrol when Sergeant Sovey joins up with Officer Jason King, who is talking to some fishermen.
You guys got 2 helmets for your ORVs?
No, we don't.
You guys wearing helmets out here?
No, sir.
You're supposed to?
What's that?
No, it's a requirement to have your helmet on an ORV.
Is it?
If you're off private property.
Okay.
So
Really?
yes.
Even if I got a cycle endorsement that says I don't have to wear a helmet?
Well, it's ORV. It's a different story on that. Right now we have these subjects that are fishing right now. They came out here on an ORV. Either of them have ORV helmets, safety helmets, and then they were ride double on an ORV, which you can only have one person on the ORV at a time. And then he didn't have his paper registration to display to me. So I'm gonna ride him for failure to have a safety helmet on ORV.
In this case, for failing to wear a helmet while operating an ORV, this man was found responsible and paid a court-ordered fine of $120.
Get your license back. It's a civil infraction for no helmet, right? Safety violation, they said you guys need to wear a helmet at all times. You're not on private property, right? So, you have verbal warning for riding 2 persons on it. Also, verbal warning for not having paper registration.
Meanwhile, Officer Chad Forrester has joined CO Jill Miller in interviewing a man who's fishing from an ice shanty. Officer Miller has detected a strong marijuana smell.
You have a card?
Yes, I do.
Is this considered a residence? Come on out. Whoa, you're gonna pick all this up, right? All right, all right. Wow, how much you smoked?
A little bit.
How you getting in tonight?
Huh?
How you getting in tonight?
I'm driving snowmobile.
Under the influence of drugs? See the dilemma?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll quit.
This is not a residence. It is not a temporary residence, okay? This is a recreational ice fishing shack.
We're gonna head
This
to
does
the
not allow you
call
to
and
smoke your
we'll be there.
marijuana out here, all right? And I'm gonna give you an example, okay? People have families with kids. They come out here and they get their kids fishing. We encourage that. And then when guys come out you and we have a stiff wind and it blows, do you think that a 9-year-old should have to smell that? Okay. That's very important, all right? It is illegal what you're doing. Right now we can take you to jail, we can revoke your card, do all that stuff.
Michigan conservation officers Chad Forster and Jill Miller are interviewing a man who admits to smoking marijuana while ice fishing.
How much weed do you have left on you? Where's that? Keep your hands out of your pockets for me. I don't know if you got a gun or anything inside there, so did you run them?
Not yet.
Okay. What's his name?
My dad's right over there.
Does your dad smoke weed too?
No.
You are higher than a kite right now. Your eyes are watery, you're
Higher.
pinpoint.
I went fishing all day.
You're high as a kite. Okay, seen a lot of it.
All right.
Where's it at? All right, coming up. Hand it to my partner right there. Is there anything else inside your shanty I should know about? Don't fall. Go over by her. Anything else inside your shanty I should know about?
This angler says that he has a medical marijuana card. However, his card restricts the use of marijuana to his residence.
So these cigarette butts, are you gonna pick all those cigarette butts up?
Yeah.
You do?
Okay.
You're gonna look me in the eye and you're gonna tell me that you pick all those cigarette butts up before you leave.
I was gonna pick everything up.
Oh, okay.
You'd be the first one in history that'll pick up all those cigarette butts. Okay, that's littering too.
Yeah,
I know.
pressure
Okay.
tracking.
What would you do if you were in my shoes today?
I guess you just take my stuff.
It'd be nice and just take your stuff.
In this case, the fisherman was given a warning and was reminded of the restrictions placed on the use of medical marijuana and the consequences of failing to abide by those restrictions. Michigan Conservation Officer Dwayne Boudreau is investigating a case where a landowner showed him evidence of what he believes indicates trespassers on his property. After speaking with the landowner and securing a sample from a gut pile, Officer Boudreau heads out to interview other members of the hunting party.
You're not taking me down a goose chase here, are you?
No, I'm not, sir.
Because, I mean, I'd rather take shortcuts if we can.
Yes.
And I don't want to go chasing names around that don't exist. So.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
He wounded it. I finished it off.
You finished it. Okay.
And he's got the deer.
But you don't know where he lives?
I mean, are we getting just charged for trespassing or?
That's kind of in the works. I haven't decided yet where we're going to go until I see what kind of cooperation we're getting and how many straight answers and how many crooked answers I get. This little mark, that's where the gut pile was. Mm-hmm. All right, so that's where the deer was. So this is private to the south. The deer sounds like it was shot and injured in an area where you had a right to be, on state land down there. And then the deer ran onto private. Right. The problem is you can't retrieve a deer off private without the permissions. If you have problems on your private property, give me a call. I'll be happy to help you out.
Yeah, well, you guys show up sometimes when you really don't want you to.
We have that way about us too. Yeah. Well, we're not here to ruin your hunt. We're just making sure everybody's being compliant with the rules.
What do you do in a case like that?
You have to call and get permission. And we run into this all the time because somebody will shoot a deer on a piece of property they have legal right to be on. Yeah. The deer runs onto private property. You have to call that property owner. And if the property owner says, no, you can't go get the deer, you have to leave it alone. Now, we would like to get called, but I can't go and assist you in recovering. Yeah. But I'd like to know, because if the property owner denies you the ability to go get the deer has to lay and rot. That property owner cannot claim it as his own. It is it's state property. Just because it's on somebody's property, on somebody's land, it still belongs to the state. They can't claim it as theirs or their kill or anything like that. It has to lay and feed the coyotes. So that's the law. That's the way the rules are. When the other part of the group came in and decided to track it on their own, they did wrong. So I'm not here because you did wrong. I'm just here for your side of the story and to find out exactly what happened.
At 84, I couldn't go in there and track it. So
Understand. Yeah, absolutely. Understand. Yeah.
I tagged it, and they brought it out and tagged it for me. What did you say your name was?
Dwayne Boudreau. I'll give you
Boudreau, and where are you from?
Here, Toski.
You live in Petoskey?
Yep, for the last 20 years.
I lived here 51 years.
Oh, you got me beat. I'm gonna take this back to the property owner and explain what really happened, and see what he wants to do from there. If he still wants to pursue the trespass, then it would be those two guys that went into the property without permission.
After completing his interviews with the subjects involved, Officer Boudreau concludes that only 2 of the men entered private property from the state-owned public hunting land, in this case for going onto the property of another landowner without permission. Both men pled guilty to recreational trespass and each paid a court-ordered fine of $390.
That's really what we're out here to do is to referee the game, to make sure that people are all playing by the same set of rules, but also, and most importantly, we're out here to make it a safer experience for everyone.